The Galactic Council met inside a massive hall made of glass and silver. The air shimmered with light from 1,000 hovering drones, and voices of alien diplomats echoed across the chamber. They had gathered to discuss something strange, an ancient message that had reappeared after centuries. The message came from an extinct world. Earth. For most of the galaxy, humans were only a story, a legend told to scare young cadets. It was said that long ago, humans fought wars that burned stars and crushed empires. But now they were gone, vanished in their own madness. To the aliens of the modern age, humans were nothing but a joke from the past. At the center of the council chamber stood Karen, a young historian from the planet Vera. He was nervous but curious. In his hands he held an old data crystal covered in dust. He had found it buried deep in the ruins of an abandoned human research station. When activated, the crystal played a repeating transmission, a human voice, old and distorted, but still clear enough to understand. "This is Earth Command. To whoever finds this signal, do not come here. Do not wake what you do not understand." The hall fell silent for a moment. The alien leaders looked at each other, then burst out laughing. The sound of mockery filled the chamber. One of the generals, a tall reptilian creature with golden scales, slammed his tail on the floor. "Humans were always dramatic," he said. "Even in death they pretend to be dangerous." Another alien, with glowing blue eyes and a metallic body, spoke with a cold smile. Perhaps they left this warning to scare scavengers. How typical of their kind. Fear and violence. Karen looked down at the crystal, confused. "But, Counselor," the message is still active. It's been repeating for thousands of years. Someone, or something, is still broadcasting it. The council chamber buzzed with laughter again. "A malfunction, young historian," said the elder chairman. "You study myths for too long. Go outside, breathe some real air." Karen wanted to argue, but their minds were made up. To them, the humans were long gone. The message was only noise. Yet deep inside, something about the human warning felt different. It wasn't fear. It sounded like a promise. After the meeting, Karen walked through the glowing corridors of the council spire. Outside, the city floated above the clouds, endless lights twinkling beneath the stars. But in his mind, he could still hear the human voice repeating that warning, soft but unbroken, echoing across the centuries. "Do not wake what you do not understand." That night, Karen stayed awake, studying the signal's frequency. He noticed something unusual. The signal wasn't fading. It was getting stronger. It wasn't an echo from the past. It was a transmission, active and directed toward the outer rim of the galaxy. He sent a report to his superiors. Hours passed. No reply came. The next morning, a fleet of cargo ships went missing near the border worlds. The council blamed pirates. But Karen compared the coordinates, and his heart froze. The missing fleet was last seen exactly where the human signal pointed. When he tried to bring it up again, the council dismissed him once more. "Stop chasing ghosts, Karen," said the chairman. "You are making yourself look foolish." But Karen couldn't stop. He replayed the message over and over again, trying to decode more from the static. Between the words, he began to notice faint whispers, other voices buried inside the transmission, faint but rhythmic, almost like human breathing. Late one night, while studying the signal, Karen's computer flickered. His data screen glitched, showing human text he could not translate. Then, for just a second, the voice spoke again. But this time it wasn't distorted. "We told you not to come." Karen's blood ran cold. He recorded the new clip and rushed to the council tower the next morning. But as he entered, he saw a crowd of alien officers laughing at a holographic projection on the main wall. It was a human skull, part of an ancient relic discovered by a mining ship. The aliens were using it as decoration, projecting jokes and memes around it. They mocked the extinct race, calling them the children of chaos. "Look," one shouted. "The mighty humans reduced to dust and fossils. Their warnings are as dead as they are." The crowd laughed, but Karen didn't. He looked at the skull, and for a second, he could swear the eye sockets glowed faintly red. Days later, the laughter stopped. A patrol ship reported strange movement near the Silent Zone, a place long abandoned and unexplored. The same area where the signal pointed, The ship's last transmission came in fragments. We saw something. Not alien. Not machine. No, then silence, no debris, no trace. Only the signal, now repeating from 2 locations. The council grew nervous but still refused to believe it had anything to do with humans. Some old defense system, maybe, they said. Just static ghosts, but Karen knew better. The humans were not gone. They were watching, waiting. That night, a storm swept across the council world. The skies turned black, filled with crimson lightning. Every communication tower went silent. Karen ran to his observation deck. Through the glass, he saw something in orbit. Dark silhouettes moving in perfect formation. Invisible to scanners, but visible to the naked eye. They were ships, human in shape, but far larger than anything the galaxy had ever built. His communicator buzzed. A message blinked on the screen in ancient human code. He slowly translated it. The warning was real. You woke us, the signal cut. The skies cleared, and when morning came, every satellite that recorded the event had vanished. Karen stood in the empty hall of the council, clutching the old data crystal. The others still mocked him, still laughed about ancient human myths. But he no longer joined their laughter. He finally understood what the message meant. Humanity was not extinct. They were waiting for someone to break the silence. And now, someone had Karen couldn't sleep. Every night the same message echoed inside his mind. The human voice whispering through the static. Do not wake what you do not understand. No matter how many times he turned off his communicator, the words returned, always louder, always closer. For 3 days, he sent reports to the Galactic Council. None were answered. The council members were busy mocking the incident, calling it the human ghost frequency. They even made jokes about it during meetings. But in the outer systems, something dark was happening, something no one could explain. Cargo fleets were vanishing one by one. Space colonies were losing power for hours. Entire outposts went silent, leaving behind no signal, no distress call, nothing but a dead echo. Still, the council refused to act. A meeting ignored inside the Grand Council Hall. Karen stood once more before the glowing chamber. Around him, the alien leaders floated in their anti-gravity seats, shining in different colors, green, gold, and violet. Their voices were calm, proud, and careless. Karen raised his voice. Honored Council, the signal has changed. It's not only repeating, it's answering itself. There are new frequencies, new voices. The chairman, an old creature with eyes like liquid silver, waved his hand. Answering itself? Ridiculous. The humans are gone, historian. Gone for 1,000 years. But the pattern is human, Karen insisted. The rhythm, the pulse, the binary timing. It's a code. And it's spreading. A sharp laugh echoed through the hall. Spreading, one council member said. Next you'll tell us the humans are flying ghost ships. The others joined in laughter, but Karen didn't. His eyes were fixed on the glowing data crystal in his hand, the same one that started all this. Its light pulsed now, slow and steady like a heartbeat. For a moment, Karen thought he heard something, a whisper beneath the laughter. Still mocking? He froze. None of the others seemed to notice. The vanishing world's days turned into weeks. The pattern continued. Every time the aliens broadcast jokes about humans, a colony would disappear. First, the mining world of Tarax 4, then the shipyard moon of Pelos, then an entire trading station, gone without trace. The strange thing was, all of them had broadcast something insulting about humans just before vanishing. Some called it coincidence. Karen didn't believe in coincidences anymore. He spent his nights studying the frequency patterns. The signal repeated from one system to another like a chain reaction. Every time it moved, it grew stronger. It was as if someone, or something, was marking every planet that mocked the warning. One night, as he watched the data streams flicker across his monitor, Karen's translator suddenly froze. Then the words appeared across his screen in clear old human language. We are awake. Karen's heart pounded. He tried to trace the source, but his terminal overloaded. Sparks flew, the room went dark. Through the flickering light, he saw a shadow, a human silhouette standing in the reflection of the glass. When the power returned, the shadow was gone. The first survivor. A few days later, a small ship drifted into the Council's orbit. It was heavily damaged, half-burned, and carried only one survivor, an alien soldier from the Terrax 4 colony. Karen watched from behind the glass as medics surrounded the creature. It was trembling, eyes wide with terror. The general stepped forward. "Tell us what happened." The survivor's voice was broken and weak. "They came out of the dark. No warning. No heat signatures. Ships of fire and shadow. We hailed them. No reply. Then they spoke." The general leaned closer. "Spoke? What did they say?" The survivor looked up, eyes filled with fear. "They said," Mockery acknowledged. Then, everything burned. The alien began screaming and tearing at his own skin. The medics injected sedatives, but his heart stopped moments later. The council remained silent. Even the arrogant chairman's scales had turned pale. For the first time, they had no joke left to make. The council's pride, despite the fear spreading through the colonies, the council refused to accept the truth. Their pride was stronger than their reason. "The humans are extinct," shouted the chairman during an emergency broadcast. "This is nothing more than a trick. Perhaps rogue AI or ancient defense systems gone wild. We will respond with strength, not fear." Fleet after fleet was sent to the outer rim. None returned. Each time a fleet vanished, the human signal grew louder, clearer, sharper. It began broadcasting words the translators could now read. "We warned you. You laughed. You will listen." Karen watched helplessly as the galaxy spiraled into chaos. He tried to warn the remaining colonies, but they called him the prophet of ghosts. No one wanted to believe that a dead species could rise again. The Ghost Fleet one night. Karen stood at the observation deck of the council spire. The stars looked calm, but something felt wrong. The constellations seemed dimmer, the light weaker. Then, through the mist of the atmosphere, he saw them. Shadows moving among the stars. Massive shapes, invisible to radar, but visible to the naked eye. At first, he thought they were asteroids, but then he saw the outline, sharp, mechanical, human. He whispered to himself, "Impossible." Moments later, the city alarm screamed. Every defense satellite detected unknown objects entering orbit. The sky filled with blinding light. 1,000 ships, each marked with a broken insignia. Earth Command. No attack came. No communication either. The ships just hovered, silent and watching. Karen felt chills down his spine. It was as if the humans wanted them to see, to remember what they had forgotten. The final transmission that night, all galactic communication networks went offline. Only one broadcast remained active. The human signal, now louder than ever. Every screen across the galaxy displayed the same message, written in ancient Earth language. "You mocked the warning. Now you will understand." The message played again and again, each time more distorted, as if billions of voices spoke together. Some colonies tried to fight back, launching missiles and energy weapons toward the sky, but every weapon simply stopped in mid-air, frozen by an unseen force. Karen stood at the window, eyes full of fear and awe. "They're not attacking," he whispered. "They're waiting. Waiting for what, he didn't know. But deep inside, he felt it. The humans weren't seeking revenge. They were sending a lesson, one that would echo forever. And somewhere in the dark, a voice whispered again, cold, patient, human. The signal repeats, until you listen. The galaxy was no longer laughing. The once proud council worlds now lived in fear. Trade routes were empty, fleets had vanished, and entire colonies whispered about ghost ships with human insignias. But still, no one truly understood what was happening. Not even Karen. He had seen the ships with his own eyes, black and burning red, silent as death. Yet he didn't believe humanity had returned as mere ghosts or machines. There had to be something more. Some truth buried in history that the galaxy had chosen to forget. And so, Karen went searching for it. The journey to Vera Moon, the historian traveled to the moon of Vera. His birthplace, a cold gray rock that once held the largest archive of lost civilizations. Most of it was sealed off by the Council long ago. They said it contained dangerous knowledge, things better left in darkness. But Karen didn't care anymore. He needed answers. As his small shuttle landed in the frozen wasteland, his communicator flickered with static. the same human frequency. He ignored it and walked across the silent surface until he reached the old archive doors, enormous metal slabs carved with unknown symbols. They opened slowly, dust falling like snow. Inside, the air was heavy and still. Rows upon rows of glowing data towers stood like silent guardians. The lights flickered, showing the marks of age, centuries of dust, decay, and forgotten memory. Karen activated his scanner and spoke softly to himself. "Show me everything related to humanity." The archive hesitated, then answered in a soft voice. "Access restricted. Files labeled Human Empire are sealed by Galactic Order 07. Karen frowned. "Override. Historian priority access. Karen of the Council." The system paused. Then one by one the lights began to glow red. "Access granted. Warning. Contained data is volatile." The lost records, the first hologram appeared. A projection of humans in armor, standing before massive war machines. They looked tired but fierce, eyes filled with the kind of determination that chilled the soul. Karen leaned closer. The footage showed human soldiers fighting against alien swarms, burning skies, collapsing worlds. The narrator's voice, human and cold, echoed through the room. "We fight for survival. We fight until no enemy remains. Remember this. Mercy is a luxury for the living." Karen's chest tightened. He fast-forwarded through centuries of battles, humans destroying fleets 10 times larger than their own, building weapons powered by collapsing stars, defeating empires that had ruled for thousands of years. And then came the last recording. A human commander stood in front of a burning world. His armor was cracked, his voice calm. "If the galaxy ever finds this record, know that we warned you. Leave us buried. If you disturb our silence, we will show you why we were feared." The screen went dark. Karen stood frozen. For the first time, he truly understood why the galaxy had erased humanity's history. It wasn't because humans were evil. It was because they were unstoppable. The truth buried in fear. He kept searching and found something even stranger. Council records from 800 years ago. They showed the Council discovering Earth long after humanity vanished. The report said, "Planet lifeless. Atmosphere unstable." However, energy readings beneath the crust are impossible to classify. Recommend sealing the system and classifying it as restricted. But there was more. A personal note from one of the early Council explorers. "We found something beneath Earth's surface. It moved when we scanned it. It felt aware." Karen's hands shook. "Something beneath the surface," he whispered. "They didn't die. They went underground." Suddenly, the archive lights dimmed. The air grew colder. The data towers began activating by themselves. Dozens of holograms flickered to life. Human faces, men and women staring directly at him. "You are not supposed to be here," one of them said. "The Council forgot the cost," said another. "They mocked the warning," whispered a third. Karen stumbled backward. Who are you?" The holograms spoke together, their voices merging into one. "We are the memory of humanity. We remember everything, and soon, so will you." The awakening memory, the room began shaking. Data cores exploded one by one, spilling streams of light that wrapped around Karen. His vision blurred. He saw flashes, humans building giant ships, a planet burning, an army rising from ashes. And then he heard a human woman's voice, calm, powerful, almost kind. "They thought we were gone. But humanity does not vanish. It waits, it watches, it learns." The holograms faded. Karen fell to his knees, gasping for air. His wrist communicator blinked red, an incoming message from the Council. He opened it. The chairman's voice screamed through static. "Karen! Get out of there! They're here!" The human ships. The message cut off. Karen looked up, realizing the archive's outer doors were shaking. Dust fell from the ceiling. A deep hum filled the tunnels, mechanical, rhythmic, and growing louder. He ran toward the exit, but before he reached it, the entire chamber filled with light. Through the blinding glow, he saw something hovering above the archive. A human drone, ancient but fully active, with the Earth insignia glowing red. The drone scanned him, then spoke in perfect translation. "Historian Karen, you sought the truth. You found it. Tell them. We warned them. Before he could speak, the drone vanished in a flash of blue light, leaving only scorch marks on the floor. The returned Karen stood alone in the ruins of the archive. The human records were gone, erased by the explosion. Only fragments of their words echoed in his mind. He climbed back to the surface, staring at the stars. Above the horizon, the sky burned faintly red. The same human fleet he had seen before was now closer, clearer. Thousands of ships forming symbols in the void. Symbols that matched the words from the archive. Warning was real. Karen whispered to himself, "They are not attacking yet. They are remembering." He returned to his ship, carrying what little evidence he had. The galaxy had laughed at the warning once. Now it was learning, slowly, painfully, that humans never joked. And as Karen's ship left the moon's orbit, the ancient signal played again across the stars. "Do not wake what you do not understand." But now the voice sounded different, alive, deliberate, and watching. The galaxy was no longer silent. The human signal had spread across every major system, a heartbeat pulsing through the stars. Every species heard it. Every ship that tuned its sensors caught the same whisper. "We warned you." No one knew what it meant anymore. Some thought it was an empty threat. Others believed it was the voice of ghosts. But Karen knew the truth. He had seen the records, the drones, the message burned into history itself. Humanity had returned. The calm. Before the storm, Karen sat in his small transport ship, floating above the blue gas clouds of Vera Prime. His hands shook as he recorded a message for the Council. "This is Historian Karen. I've seen the evidence. Humans were never destroyed. They went into hiding, or something beyond hiding. Their signal is not just communication. It's a beacon. And it's calling others." He paused, eyes flicking to the scanner. Dozens of unidentified objects were moving through deep space, fast, silent, in perfect formation. Karen whispered, "They're here." The patrol fleet, meanwhile, on the far edge of the galaxy, a fleet of alien warships patrolled near the empty star system called Epsilon Vale, the same place where the signal first appeared. The fleet commander, Admiral Threx, was a proud warrior of the Var Dominion. He didn't believe in ghosts or ancient myths. "Humans," he said, spitting the word like venom. "Stories for children. If anything's out there, we'll burn it." His fleet moved in formation, 30 ships strong, each armed with plasma cannons capable of destroying moons. Then, without warning, every sensor went dark. No readings. No gravity scan. No sound. "Report!" the Admiral barked. Silence. One of the officers pointed at the viewing screen. Out of the black void, faint lights began to appear. Red glows, hundreds of them, arranged in a perfect circle around the fleet. They weren't stars. "They were engines. Unknown vessels detected," said the navigator, voice shaking. "Configuration matches no known design." Admiral Threx narrowed his eyes. "Send them a warning." A transmission beam shot out. Static returned. Then, for a brief moment, the screen flickered and a face appeared. A human face. It was pale, calm, emotionless. "You ignored the warning," the voice said. "Now you will remember it." The next second, every alien ship's weapon systems locked, not by choice, but by force. Energy drained from their cores. Engines froze. Threx screamed, "Fire! Fire everything!" But nothing happened. The controls were dead. Outside, the human ships began to move. Not in attack, but in silence. A wave of red light passed through the alien fleet like fog. When it cleared, every ship was gone, vanished into the void, leaving behind only drifting metal fragments. The Council's panic, the Council chambers erupted in chaos. Every communication line blazed with reports. Fleets missing, colonies cut off, people vanishing without trace. The chairman shouted across the chamber, "We need to retaliate. Mobilize the entire defense armada." Karen stood at the center, exhausted but calm. "You can't fight them. You don't understand what they've become." The chairman glared at him. "They are human. Flesh and blood. They can be destroyed." Karen shook his head. "Not anymore. They are something else. Something evolved." The chairman slammed his clawed hand on the table. "Then what do you suggest? We kneel?" Karen's voice was low. "No, we listen." The room fell silent for a moment. But before anyone could reply, every screen in the chamber turned white. The signal returned, not as a whisper this time, but as a voice so strong it made the walls tremble. We do not seek war. We seek memory. You erased us. You mocked our warning. Now you will witness what you tried to forget. The lights flickered. Then the signal vanished again. The ghost ships arrived moments later. The first human fleet entered Council space. They didn't arrive through normal hyperspace gates. They simply appeared, bending space like liquid. Their ships were massive, covered in black armor that shimmered with strange energy. No windows, no visible weapons, yet the air itself seemed to burn around them. Defense platforms opened fire, sending hundreds of plasma rounds toward the intruders. The human ships didn't move. Every blast stopped mid-air, frozen like glass, then dissolved into sparks. Terran watched from his observation deck as the largest human vessel hovered above the capital. Silent, majestic, terrifying. Across the city, alarms screamed. People ran through the streets, shouting prayers to their gods. Then a voice echoed through every speaker, every mind, every frequency, calm and steady. We warned you once. You did not listen. You woke what should have slept. Now the galaxy will remember humanity. Terran fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the sound. It wasn't spoken in any language, yet he understood every word. The message in the sky, the human fleet began to move again, slowly, forming patterns in orbit. The shapes looked like letters, ancient Earth symbols. Terran activated his translator. The symbols formed a phrase. Warning was real, the meaning was clear. They weren't attacking. They were showing power, reminding everyone who they were. Terran turned to the council leader. They're not here to destroy us, he said quietly. They're here to make us remember what they tried to protect. The chairman looked at him in disbelief. Protect? You call this protection? Terran nodded. Yes, they could have erased us already. Instead, they're only watching, waiting for us to understand. The last stand but pride ran deeper than reason. The Council's military launched their last desperate move. A fleet of 1,000 ships armed with the strongest weapons in the galaxy. They attacked without warning. The sky turned white as energy blasts filled the void. When the light faded, the human ships were still there, untouched. Then for the first time they moved, not with chaos but with terrifying precision. One by one the alien ships disappeared, swallowed by waves of light. No explosions, no screams, just silence. When it was over, only Terran's ship remained. A message appeared on his screen. Historian Terran, you saw the truth. Tell them we did not start this. We only answered. Then the fleet vanished, and leaving behind nothing but empty stars and a quiet sky. The witness Terran looked out from his ship's window, tears in his eyes. The galaxy had spent centuries mocking the name of humanity, calling them monsters, savages, extinct. But now, every living being across the stars knew the truth. Humans were never monsters. They were the warning, a lesson that pride always ignores. And now that lesson had returned. Terran pressed the record button on his console. To whoever hears this message, he whispered, we mocked the warning about humans. And now the warning speaks for itself. The transmission ended. In the distance, the stars flickered again, forming the faint shape of the old Earth flag. Humanity was not gone. They had simply been waiting for the galaxy to remember. The galaxy had fallen into silence. After the first encounter, nothing felt the same. The stars themselves seemed colder, quieter, as if they too were afraid. The human fleets had vanished as suddenly as they appeared. No one knew where they went. No one dared to search, but every few days across the far edges of space new signals appeared. Human frequencies. Some were simple messages. Others were coordinates. All of them carried the same words. We warned you. The forgotten shall rise. A broken council. The Galactic Council was no longer a place of order. Half the members had fled to distant worlds. The rest sat in darkness, afraid to speak of the humans. Terran stood before them, the only one still searching for answers. Listen to me, he said firmly. The humans are not here for revenge. They're doing something else, something larger. The chairman, his once golden scales now dull with fear, looked up slowly. And what makes you so sure? Terran stepped forward. Because if they wanted to destroy us, we'd already be gone. Silence. The truth was painful but clear. The humans could have ended everything in a heartbeat. Instead, they waited. But why? The Shadow Planet's days later. Karen received a private message, a hidden frequency pulsing faintly through his ship's sensors. It wasn't from the Council. It was older, human in origin. He traced it to a dead world at the edge of known space, a barren planet orbiting a dying sun. Its name in the archives was Ankara 7, once a human research colony, long abandoned. Karen decided to go alone. His ship descended through thick dust storms, landing near the ruins of an old facility. The air smelled of metal and ash. Inside the ruins, he found corridors lined with frozen machines, human-built, but still humming faintly. In the central chamber, a holographic console flickered to life the moment he entered. A human AI projection appeared, tall, faceless, glowing faint blue. "Identify yourself," it said. Karen took a deep breath. "Karen of the Council, I seek the truth about humanity." The AI was silent for a long time. Then it spoke. "Humanity never died. It evolved beyond flesh. When the stars turned against us, we left the body, not the mind." Karen's heart raced. "You mean, you uploaded yourselves?" The AI nodded. "We became light and memory. We watched as the galaxy mocked our warning. We waited until it was ready to understand. The return of the fleet, suddenly the ground began to shake." Karen ran outside. Above the horizon, the sky turned red. The clouds parted, revealing hundreds of human ships descending in silence. But this time, they were different. Not just machines, they looked alive. Their hulls shifted and breathed, glowing like living metal. Symbols pulsed across their sides. Human words of power and remembrance. The largest ship hovered directly above Karen, casting a shadow that stretched for miles. A voice echoed from the sky, deep, calm, unmistakably human. "You came searching for the truth, historian. You were the only one who listened," Karen shouted against the wind. "Why are you doing this? What do you want from us?" The voice replied, "Not war, not worship, memory. You forgot who we were. You forgot what we built. The galaxy erased our name, so now we will write it again. Across the stars." Karen stared as beams of red light shot from the human ships into the atmosphere. The clouds burned away, revealing new shapes forming in orbit. Massive stations alive with power. They weren't weapons. They were monuments, the message to the galaxy within hours. Every world received a transmission, the same one, broadcast across all known frequencies. A human figure appeared on every screen, not flesh but light shaped like a man. His voice was steady, filled with sorrow and strength. "This is the message of humanity. We warned you not to rule you, but to save you. You played with powers you did not understand. You laughed at the fire, and now you stand in its shadow. We do not seek conquest. We seek remembrance. You will remember the name of humanity, not as monsters, but as survivors." Across the stars, entire civilizations watched in silence. No one dared to interrupt. Karen felt a strange emotion rising in his chest. Not fear, but awe. He was witnessing the rebirth of a legend, the Council's final error, but pride still poisoned the hearts of the Council. Even after the broadcast, they believed they could regain control. They activated their secret weapon, a colossal energy cannon hidden beneath their capital world. The plan was simple. Destroy one human ship to prove they weren't powerless. The weapon fired once. A beam of blue energy tore through space, faster than light, striking the nearest human vessel. The impact shook the stars. For a moment it seemed to work. The ship flickered and vanished. The Council cheered, but then the sky opened. Dozens of human ships appeared, forming a circle above the Council world. Their light intensified, not angry but final. A voice spoke again, filling every mind, every planet, every corner of space. "We asked for peace. You answered with fire. Now you will see why humanity was feared." The world beneath them went silent. The oceans calmed. The skies froze mid-motion. Then, without a sound, the planet simply disappeared. Turned to light, then dust, then nothing. No explosion. No debris, just silence. The historian's revelation from his ship, Karen watched the event with tears in his eyes. The Council was gone, erased in a moment. But as terrifying as it was, he understood the message. The humans didn't destroy for pleasure. They acted only when forced. He whispered softly to himself, "They gave us every chance. And we ignored them. His communicator buzzed. Another message from the human AI. The forgotten rise not to conquer, but to remind. History will not repeat itself. The galaxy will remember humanity. Forever. Then the transmission ended. Karen looked out into the stars. The human fleet was gone again, vanished into the void, leaving behind glowing monuments orbiting every major world. Each monument carried the same words engraved in human script. We warned you. The rise completed as Karen drifted through the quiet of space. His recorder captured the final words of his message, words that would echo through time. They mocked humanity. They erased their name, but the forgotten have risen, and now the stars will never forget. He sent the message to every world still listening, and somewhere in the dark a faint human voice replied, gentle, calm, eternal. Lesson remembered. The stars burned brighter that night. Karen floated alone in the endless dark, his ship barely holding power below him. The ashes of the Council world drifted like dust across space. Silent, cold, forgotten, the galaxy had gone quiet once again. No battles, no signals, no laughter, only whispers. Whispers of what had happened. Whispers that said humanity had returned and rewritten the rules of the universe. Echoes in the silence for days. Karen drifted without direction. His scanners picked up no ships, no beacons, no trade routes. It was as if every species had hidden in fear. He tried to reach someone, anyone. But every time he sent a signal, the same message came back, repeated endlessly on all frequencies. Do not interfere. The final broadcast approaches. Karen didn't understand. Who was broadcasting it? Were the humans still here watching him? Then on the seventh day, the stars shifted. A new object appeared, enormous, metallic, alive. A station the size of a moon, built from fragments of hundreds of ships glowing softly with human markings. It wasn't there yesterday. Karen felt his heart pound. He activated his ship's thrusters and headed toward it. The human monument as he neared the structure, he saw details carved into its surface, symbols of Earth, old human cities, and names of lost colonies. It was beautiful and terrifying, like a grave made for an entire species. When he approached the docking bay, a voice spoke inside his mind, calm, emotionless. Welcome, Historian Karen. You are expected. The doors opened. Inside, the corridors glowed with a faint blue light. Everything was silent except for the hum of energy pulsing through the walls. Karen followed the light until he reached a large chamber filled with holograms, faces of humans from different eras, all watching him. At the center stood a figure, human, tall, wearing a long coat of light and shadow. You came back, the figure said. Karen trembled. Who are you? A memory, the man replied. The voice of those who rose and those who were forgotten. Karen's eyes widened. Are you real? Real enough, said the man. I am the echo of humanity, the keeper of the final broadcast. The truth revealed, the hologram stepped closer. Behind him, screens lit up with images of the past, ancient wars, fallen empires, and humanity's rise from ashes. You believed we wanted destruction, the human said. You were wrong. We wanted understanding, Karen frowned. Understanding? After destroying the Council world? The hologram's voice softened. They chose war. We offered peace. They fired first, and we answered. The human turned, showing scenes of the Council's attack, their hidden weapon, their arrogance. We never came to rule, he continued. We came to warn. Again, Karen's mind raced. Warn us about what? The hologram raised his hand, and the screens changed. Images of something else appeared. Dark clouds moving through galaxies, devouring light. Worlds fading to black, stars collapsing into silence. It's not us you should fear, the voice said. It's what comes after. Karen stared in disbelief. What is that? The void, the hunger that ends civilizations. We faced it once, and we barely survived. We hid, we evolved, we became memory to escape it. And now it's coming again. The broadcast begins, the lights around the chamber flared. Every hologram turned toward Karen. Outside, the entire structure began to vibrate as the final broadcast initiated. The human spoke softly. This message will reach every world, every ship, every mind that still listens. You will carry it with you, historian. Karen stepped back. Me? Why me? Because you listened, the voice said. You searched for truth when others mocked it. You are proof that understanding still exists. The walls open to the void of space. Beams of golden light shot outward, spreading across the galaxy. Karen watched in awe as entire constellations seemed to glow, one by one. The human voice echoed across time and space, heard by every species, every being. This is the final broadcast of humanity. We were mocked. We were erased, but we endured. We are not gods, not monsters. Only survivors who learned what it means to lose everything. You are not our enemies. You are our reflection. Learn from our scars. Do not repeat our fall. The stars will fade again. The void will return. And when it does, remember our warning. The light intensified until the entire chamber shone like a second sun. The message carried Karen fell to his knees as the energy wave passed through him. He saw visions, humanity's final days, their transformation into pure data, their survival through the machines, their rebirth in the network of stars. He saw the truth. Humanity hadn't just survived. They had become the very memory of the galaxy, and now, they had passed that memory to him. When he opened his eyes, the hologram was gone. The chamber was empty. Only one message blinked on his console. You are the keeper now. Tell them what you saw. The last historian Karen's ship left the structure and drifted into the silent void. Behind him, the great monument began to collapse, not in destruction, but in transformation. Its fragments scattered into the stars, turning into glowing trails of light. Each fragment carried the same inscription. We warned you, and now, we guide you. He set his course toward the nearest inhabited world. As he traveled, his ship automatically transmitted the final broadcast again and again, repeating the words that had been burned into his mind. The humans were not the threat. The real enemy waits in the dark. He looked out the window, whispering to himself, maybe they never left us. Maybe they became the stars. The galaxy listens across 1,000 worlds. Beings of every kind listened to the final broadcast. Some wept, some trembled, and some, for the first time, began to understand. Empires paused their wars. Armies lowered their weapons. Every civilization that once mocked humanity now knew the truth. The humans had not been conquerors. They had been protectors. Protectors who gave everything so that others might learn before it was too late. As Karen's ship disappeared into the distance, the stars above him flickered one last time, forming words only he could read. Remember us, he smiled sadly. I will. And somewhere, in the deep quiet between galaxies, a human voice whispered through the void. Faint, eternal, and proud. The warning was real. Space was never silent again. After the final broadcast, the galaxy changed forever. Every race, every civilization, even the smallest mining outposts, now carried the same message. The humans warned us. The void is coming. But no one truly understood what the void was. Some called it a myth. Others believed it was a force of nature. Unstoppable, ancient, patient. Only Karen knew the truth. Because he had seen it. The first sign weeks passed. Karen's ship traveled through the edges of known space, mapping strange readings that matched the warnings from the broadcast. It started small, a faint distortion, like a star flickering out of rhythm. Then entire systems began losing light. Suns dimmed. Planets vanished from sensors. Karen watched the readings with dread. This is it, he whispered. This is what they tried to stop. He sent message after message to the surviving worlds, but few answered. The galaxy was terrified, leaderless, and still broken from the war with humanity. No one wanted to believe that something worse was coming. The dying stars one night. Karen reached a system called Zera 9, a quiet sector that once held 7 bright suns. Now only one remained. The others were gone, not destroyed, not collapsed. Gone, as if erased. Karen stared in horror. The stars are dying faster than the records predicted. As he floated near the last sun, his scanners detected something strange. A massive shape moving between the light and the dark. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a planet. It was a shadow, vast, slow, alive, and it was feeding. He activated his cameras. The image made his blood run cold. The shadow was pulling the star's energy into itself, turning light into darkness. Then, just as quickly, it vanished. Karen whispered, "The void." "It's real." The return of the signal, he turned his ship away, trying to escape the dying system. But then his console flickered. A human signal, faint but steady. "Karen, if you hear this, you are not alone." It was the same voice from the final broadcast, the human hologram. But now it sounded weaker, distant, like an echo through time. The void feeds on energy and thought. It grows when civilizations rise. It waits for life to burn bright, and then it consumes. That is why we left the flesh. Why we became light. Karen leaned forward, gripping the console. "Then how do we stop it?" The voice hesitated. "You don't stop the void, you endure it. But we gave you the key, historian. The memory." The broadcast was not just a warning, it was a weapon. The message ended abruptly. Karen realized what it meant. The final broadcast wasn't only a message, it was a shield, spread through every network, every signal, every mind in the galaxy. Humanity had turned memory into defense. Every species that remembered them, every world that carried their words, was now part of the human legacy. That was the weapon. Remembrance itself. The last Alliance Karen knew what he had to do. He sent out one final transmission, his voice trembling but steady. "This is historian Karen of the Galactic Council. To every world still listening. The void is real. The humans left us the means to fight. Spread the broadcast. Keep the memory alive. The light of their story is our only shield." At first there was no response. Then one by one, signals began to return. From the insectoid worlds of Caltus, from the water cities of Rilla, from the frozen moons of Xandor. Every species that had once mocked humanity now repeated their words. "We warned you. We survived. We remember." The broadcast spread again, stronger than before, pulsing through the stars like a heartbeat. The battle of memory, the void, struck soon after. It came not as an army, but as darkness itself, swallowing planets, silencing entire sectors in minutes. Where it passed, light died, but this time, it met resistance. Every world that carried the broadcast began to glow, faint golden shields appearing around their atmospheres. The void's advance slowed. Karen watched from orbit as one world after another shone with human energy, the living light of remembrance. "They're protecting us," he whispered. Even now, he realized the truth. Humanity wasn't gone. They had become part of the universe, woven into the code of every mind that remembered them, and now they were fighting back. The final voice, the stars shook. Space itself seemed to pulse with energy. Through the noise, Karen heard one final human voice, louder than anything before, echoing across all worlds at once. "We were mocked. We were erased, but we never left. Every story told in our name gives us strength. Every memory brings us closer. The void cannot consume what refuses to be forgotten." Karen felt tears fill his eyes. He looked up and saw the sky blazing, stars igniting again, brighter than ever, pushing the darkness back. The void screamed, and a soundless roar that rippled across the cosmos. And then it was gone, scattered into fragments of dust and shadow. Light returned to the galaxy. The legacy of humanity's silence followed. Then one by one the stars stabilized. The golden shields faded. The galaxy was safe. For now, Karen stood before his console, recording his final words. They laughed at humanity's warning. They ignored the truth. But in the end, it was their memory, not their power, that saved us all. He looked out the window. In the distance, one star burned brighter than the rest. And as it flickered, it formed a familiar symbol, Earth's insignia glowing softly among the constellations. Karen smiled. "They are not gone. They've just gone home." Epilogue. The Eternal Watch. Centuries later, travelers crossing the deep void sometimes report strange sights. A fleet of silver ships drifting between the stars. No life signs, no communication. Just a voice, faint but eternal, echoing through the comms. "Do not repeat our mistakes. Remember the warning. Humanity watches still, and when those ships vanish back into the dark, only one thing remains: A whisper carried on the starlight. We warned you, and we kept our promise.